Authortube, the platform for writers everywhere to come and share experiences, tips and tricks to expand your bookish horizons and really feel like you're a part of a community. A place where even people who haven't written anything can come and learn, be included and encouraged. Generally, it was meant to be a sort of safe zone on the internet when nothing else in this world really feels safe. But while Authortube has been growing and the community is expanding, a certain, shall we say, poison has leaked throughout the platform. It's not the critics pulling up the tea videos to expose everyone's favorite Authortuber. It's not the haters that just had to leave a 2-star review out of spite. And it's not subreddit comments or guru gossip openly discussing behind-the-scenes truths that have been veiled from all to see. In fact, the reality about this community and its true nature have been laid out in plain view. It's in every video that boasts a clean, picture-perfect aesthetic. It's when every Authortuber mentions a sponsor, a giveaway, or a newsletter like a daytime infomercial desperately trying to convince its viewers to click that link in the description. And it's every Authortuber on this platform who talks incessantly about them, their book, or their advice. Authortube isn't about writing. It's about marketing.
Listen to me when I say they will never go away. Run. Welcome to the jungle.
I first discovered Authortube through one of Jenna Moressi's earlier comedic videos.
Hello everybody. There's this weird thing that happens when people find out that you're a writer. They tend to react by taking their foot and shoving it right in their mouth.
The poor video quality, debatable audio, and goofy expressions didn't shine with a professional veneer and was a far cry from some of the more polished channels that also sprung up at the time. One thing I did notice was that Jenna was getting a following, and fast. She had that quirky personality that boasted individuality. The comedic timing of her jokes met with an exaggerated look and the mellow, upbeat music in the background, along with more creative skits that were meant to relate to an audience of writers rather than teach them how things are done. She had personality. Binge watch her videos for hours, some of which were even distracting me from my writing because her bits were just so eye-catching. She wasn't afraid to be herself. She was real, outgoing, and eccentric. She was and still is the only one of her kind. We are starving for this kind of content in the community. People love people who aren't afraid to be themselves. I guess it helps that Jenna isn't actually a dangerous cyborg in Authortube disguise, but she took a risk that I didn't and still haven't seen many other Authortubers embrace, save Jenna Streety or Paige Nomad. It is always going to be a risky thing to put yourself out there. You don't know whether or not people will like you, you don't know if you're strong enough to take on the criticism and hate, and you most certainly don't want it to affect your reputation as a writer. But she didn't talk down to me like a teacher holding my hand through a writing process. She didn't look at the camera and talk with that condescending tone of someone who's my senior, or vlog every single detail of her life because of the trending Instagram influencers who knew this community still needs people to look up to. But people did anyway, and I'm sure I and many others can appreciate the efforts any YouTuber goes to change their setup for better quality videos. I'm certainly not blaming her for getting a better background, cleaner audio, and clearer video. I don't blame her for getting a better lighting setup or sponsorships. I'm just saying that I knew this was inevitable. I think Authortubers in the community are trading their individuality for relatability, and it comes at a cost. Because how relatable do you have to be before you conform to what standards have been set by said community? Followers, fellow creators, friends, all contributing to this sort of hive mind that keeps the same content buzzing, promoting the same image. The same feed that appears in your recommended and trending page is never that much different than the next. All of it concludes to taking part in a race we've all agreed to run. Get big, get noticed, and sell your books. But who exactly are we marketing to? Our friends? Our followers? Our subscribers? We're only doing what we have to do to get noticed, for the good of our sales and the benefit of our career. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Well, no. actually. And I'd be a hypocrite if I said that I didn't start my channel with similar intentions in mind. I'm recognizing a gigantic hole in this creative realm that no one is even bothering to touch, let alone start to fill. While everyone is busy with giveaways, collabs, and sponsorships, they're not realizing we've allowed ourselves to give away the most vital part of our artistic tendencies. Authors marketing themselves is certainly nothing new, and it's nothing that Authortube introduced. You don't have to be involved in the writing community for 2 minutes on Twitter before realizing every follower is going to have a hook in mind, hoping to grab your attention with every giveaway, every fellow follower mention in hopes of selling even 10 books. Some authors going so far as to apply the follow for follow method or trade book sales to up their sale count and convince the Kindle algorithm to recommend their books just a little bit more. No one is worried about finessing their works or improving the quality anymore. It's just sell as many copies as possible and worry about finesse later. I mean, that comes later, when I have the time. But when are you going to find that time? When your writing style, poor quality, and plot holes have convinced potential readers who will remember that you didn't think your book was even worth the effort of drafting, and you expect them to pay hard cold cash to invest. This isn't just a stain on the author, but the entire indie publishing industry. People in society already don't think authors who self-publish are serious about writing because of these examples that have been set. But Authortube is a place where writers can grow with their stories, learn to polish their works, and gain a better understanding of what it means to create these complex worlds, characters, and circumstances. To help you learn to find your audience, work through those cliches and tropes, and learn how to be original without even trying. Authortubers boast about the ability to help you get your book noticed, sold, and how to achieve those dreams. Some even advertising they have managed to break writing down to a science. Some of these videos are done dozens of times over by the same person in the same exact way, giving the same exact advice. And I don't think this is just because people are requesting these types of videos. Change is hard, and I think the reason for multiple accounts of advice-giving videos is because it's worked so far, and maintaining the audience you have now is less risky than starting something new with the potential of losing even more because you're admitting that you don't know as much as you claim. Even though this is already made obvious by the die-hard fanbase you've created now leaving positively negative reviews of your books because they're actually subpar. You're scraping by just like everyone else. You haven't made it. You're still getting started. And this is a scary fact. The addition of sponsorships and book deals is a pretty piece to brag about when it comes to showing the publishing industry you're capable of more than they give credit for, and your strategy is ingenious, even if it is tired. What you don't realize, however, is that everyone hates ads. And people are waking up to the realization that this is all Authortube is anymore. It is all it has been allowed to be due to the pressures from the industry, fan base, and the community who can't even look into the branch of fan fiction long enough to admit that that's where half of you came from. Authortube may have been about writing in the beginning. It may have started out with good intentions, writers wanting to relate to an audience and help people find their way in the dark, and we needed it for the first couple of years. Now, we've outgrown you. We've heard the same advice dozens of times over, and you know what? We're hungry. We want more. More things to help us grow in our writing. More to help us learn about reaching the intended audience and climbing to the top of that mountain to see through to our book's potential. We want to write masterpieces like Braveheart. We want to make people cry like in Titanic and Gladiator. We want to stir people's consciences with controversial topics. We want to raise questions that might better our society, get people to start wondering about things again. We want to provide an escape to those going through so much conflict in real life, to offer that hope at the end of the tunnel that things happen for a reason, and no matter who abandons you, your books will be there. Writing is a powerful tool, and it is being taken for granted. I am sad to say, but the modern day writing community has been sabotaging what it means to be a writer. It's not just a label we use to impress our peers. It's not just a ticket out of the corporate life. It's not a flashy ad for someone to maybe throw $3 our way so we can announce, I sold a book. Everyone and anyone can come on here to give advice, offer classes, or talk about themselves till they're blue in the face. It's the internet. You're allowed. One of the biggest problems that comes with this is the scammers who play on the naive minds of guppy writers who don't know what they're getting into. I'm not sure if these classes are so expensive because they're actually that valuable, or if the price to prove otherwise is just too high for anyone to want to try. It can be difficult to pinpoint when an individual is actually a scam artist, or just someone who wants to get ahead faster than they're ready for it, or someone who's delusional enough to think they know more than they do and place a higher value on that than a professional might. And in a community as open as Authortube, who's going to deny you that privilege when art is subjective and opinions are subjective, and nuance is nothing but a word used to excuse low effort, poor quality works that can pass as subpar to an audience willing to give you every credit you think you deserve. But the problem in the community isn't this person. The problem is that there is no alternative content to compare. There's no competition. There's nothing to draw the line because a line in this case would have to be up to the audience to decide. And plenty of people wouldn't want one, as restrictions would only further inhibit our creative abilities rather than enhance them. There's nothing for anyone to alternatively help them grow and discover and learn more about their writing because it's all the same. And in a way, this is what keeps the community safe. And we dread what's to come next as we try to gauge whether or not this community is even worth sticking around to fight for, or if our time is better spent elsewhere. Marketing your book is important, and having a consistent image and brand can definitely help reassure your audience that you haven't lost full control, and at least someone knows what they're doing, even if it is just a front. But it shouldn't rule your life. It shouldn't rule your writing. It shouldn't be what's keeping you from creatively expressing your truths in your stories or your YouTube channel. And it certainly shouldn't be holding you back from living up to your fullest potential just because you're scared it's going to be hard. And maybe instead of talking so much about writing and what we'll need to do after we've written everything, we just need to start doing it.
And it is really baffling to me to see women especially using the internet, using their online platforms as an anchor instead of a balloon. Because the thing is, it's a choice. You choose the words that come out of your mouth. You get to choose whether or not you spread love or hate. You get to choose whether or not you're the one lighting all the candles or blowing them all out. We rise, we all rise when we lift others. If you find that someone is doing something that is triggering you or that upsets you, and you feel the need to lash out in hateful comments or a hateful post or a hateful video or whatever it is, maybe take a second to step back and ask yourself, why is this triggering me? Because it has absolutely nothing to do with the person who's causing this trigger, and it has everything to do with what is going on with you internally.